So, could you share with our viewers what are some of the things that someone can do to have a healthier heart, to prevent arteries,
Absolutely.
blockage, etc.?
There's no question, today, ironically, modern science is actually now finally understanding that it's all about prevention. When I went to medical school, which I don't want to reflect my age, but it was greater than 20 years ago, 25 years ago, there really weren't any courses on prevention. It was all about treating the active disease. But it turns out that we do have the propensity and the ability to live to a ripe old age. Newsweek magazine just recently said that becoming into your 90s will become the new 40s. Now, being able to live well into your 90s is not because we're going to do such a great job with the treatment of active disease. That statement reflects the fact that we're finally putting an emphasis on prevention. If we prevent the disease, that's exactly how you're going to live well into your 90s. And there are several key ideas that one can do in terms of prevention of cardiovascular disease. And though I'm a cardiologist as well as a general doctor, and I have tendencies towards cardiology, we're not talking about prevention of cardiovascular disease because that's my personal bias, but we know that it's cardiovascular disease that determines whether or not you're going to live well into your 90s. Heart disease is the number one cause of death, heart disease. So therefore, any steps taken towards the prevention of heart disease will clearly allow you to live well into the 90s. So what are some of those things that you can easily do at home? I don't want to talk about things that require a ton of resources or super specialists that you have to go to or therapies that are not quite proven. I want to talk about things that can easily be employed at home. Number one, and first and foremost, is adequate hydration. Many of us don't really take in the number of glasses of water and fluids that we're supposed to do. We're busy. If we're women, we don't want to be running to the bathroom. It's an inconvenience. Or if we're drinking too much coffee and we're having that diuretic effect. Whatever the reasons are, we avoid being too well hydrated. And there was a study that looked at tens of thousands of people of the exact same age. Those who were just a little bit dehydrated biologically were considered 10 years older. 10 years older if they had evidence for just hypohydration, just a little bit dehydrated, not even to the extent in which their blood pressures were low or clinically evolving as dehydrated, just a little bit. And we're able to see that when we do a blood test and see the serum sodium level, or simply ask the patient how much urine you're making, but just simply adequate hydration, making sure your urine is never that amber color, but very nice and light. That will prevent your body from aging 10 years. When you're a little bit dehydrated, chemicals like vasopressin are released, which causes the body to constrict the blood vessels to make sure the blood pressure is stable, but that starts to trigger atherosclerosis when the blood vessels are constricted. Vasopressin is not a good release of chemical from the body, but it's done when you're just a little bit dehydrated. How easy is it to prevent that by simply making sure you're well hydrated in the course of the day? That's number one. Number two, I mentioned this previously, is what we call circadian rhythms or a biological clock. Respect your biological clock when it's day versus night. When it's nighttime, the retina in the back of your eye sends a message to the pineal body in the center of the brain to release a chemical called melatonin. Melatonin is supposed to be released at night. It's a powerful antioxidant. And that antioxidant cleans up the residual toxins that are released during the day, cleans up the body. You know what a good analogy is? For anyone that's been to Disneyland or Disney World, it's a beautiful park. But imagine if the cleanup crew didn't come out at night to clean up everything that happened and all the garbage that was there. Imagine no cleanup crew, and the next day a whole bunch of more people came to enjoy the park. It wouldn't take too much time before that park just looked terrible and nothing was functioning according to the way it should. Well, it's not a far leap to realize the same thing happens with the human body. During the day, we utilize glucose, sugar, and food to fuel anabolic processes, the factories in our cells, the mitochondria. They produce energy, ATP. Well, in
Dr.
those,
David, before we get into the
yeah,
glucose, I wanted to ask a question
yeah, sure,
so that our viewers can benefit and I will benefit and we all
of
benefit.
course.
Now, you mentioned about the night. When the night comes, your body knows the difference. How does that work in light? I mean, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
you're in
so
a
what
room with a
happens
lot of
is
light. How
the,
do? Yeah.
there are, so it's important, therefore, that when it is nighttime, not to be exposed to blue light from your iPhones, blue light from the television. That blue light tricks the brain in thinking it's still day, and then the melatonin is not released. So today, with
Okay.
Netflix and television that we watch at night, people are watching television from their iPhones, and as a result, the melatonin is not released. And that's a
Mm.
problem because then you don't have those antioxidants healing your body at night.
And your
So
body
I
need to
think,
be healed. Your body
and the
need that
body,
heal.
the cleanup crew needs to come in at night to clean up everything from the day, whether it's melatonin or glutathione. And that's why today there is a field of supplements where you can go and get these additional supplements. But you don't even have to do that if you respect what night is really about. Intermittent fasting, stop eating after 5, 6 p.m., avoid the blue light from your iPhone after 6 or 7 p.m., and go to sleep at a decent time. That will allow your body to rest and recover from the work of the day. And that's really important in preventing heart disease.
That is so interesting. So, sufficient sleep is very beneficial to prevent heart disease. On that very same tone, Dr. David, I have heard that too much sleep can also, no, sufficient sleep, yes, we understand that. But I want to
Right.
just ask you as a cardiologist, too much sleep now, what is considered too much sleep? And can too much sleep weaken the heart? I don't know. I'm just asking that to you from
It's
a
actually
layman point of view.
I like the question very much because there are a lot of people who tend to try to get too much sleep. And the reason why they're sleeping or making an effort to sleep longer is because their sleep is not rejuvenating. If you have a very well rejuvenating sleep, you will find that you don't need more than 8 hours. But the people who are tossing and turning and tossing and turning in their sleep, they're never getting into those deep stages of sleep. And as a result, they find themselves in bed for longer than they should be. They have a hard time waking up in the morning, and they therefore sleep even longer because they don't get into deep stages. If you construct a way, and if you make sure to go to sleep before 11 p.m. and you don't have a late night meal, then your body will be able to enter a deeper stage of sleep and you won't need that much sleep. Quality is much better than quantity when it comes to sleep.
That is so very interesting. So quality sleep is much healthier for the body. Oh, wow.
Much healthier because it's quite often that if you don't have the quality sleep, you can have 8 to 10 hours of being in bed and never reaching what we call REM sleep. That's the stage of sleep in which you dream. The dreamful sleep is the rejuvenating sleep. And if you don't get to that stage, you can have all the hours of sleep you want, and you're never going to feel fully rejuvenated. And that's quite often the cause of fatigue and sleepiness and just not having energy during the day. Often patients will think they're having a heart problem when in reality it's their sleep hygiene that needs to be rectified.